Hello, it is time for this. I'm back. And I am not playing Gradius this time. Instead, I'm playing a Namco game. What a surprise. So this is a game that I'm sure many of you have probably heard of, and you might not be a huge fan of it because it is both a very monotonous and tedious game, and also it is riddled with secrets. It is very cryptic, and not only are the secrets very hard to find without a guide, but many of the secrets are also necessary to know about in order to actually beat the game. But I assure you, by the end of this run, you will know everything you need to know in order to beat the game, hopefully. There's a lot to go through, so let's get started. Okay, so the main goal of every floor is you control the knight Gil, presumably named after Gilgamesh, and you need to find a key in order to open a door to progress to the next floor, and you have a sword and you can defeat enemies with it. Sounds pretty simple? It's not, because every floor also has, well, almost every floor has a treasure chest containing a special item, most of which you either need to unlock or you basically can't really get through the game without them. So this floor has what's known as the copper pickaxe, and in order to unlock it I need to kill 3 of these green slimes. These slimes are kind of the most basic kind of enemy. All they really do is just slither around. It's best to attack them while they're standing still. So what does the copper pickaxe do? Well, when Gil is standing in front of a wall, if you draw your sword, you can actually break down the wall. The only problem is, because this thing is made of copper, it's very weak, so you can only use it once and then one more time before it breaks. But if you take a treasure chest, then you actually grant 1 additional free use of it. So the maximum amount of times I'll be able to use this pickaxe per floor without breaking it is 2. And it also breaks if you use it on the outer walls. So floor 2 has one of the most useful and important items in the game, even though it's technically not required to beat the game, the jet boots, and to get that I need to kill 2 black slimes. Black slimes are basically just slightly faster than green slimes. And, so, yeah. And right there you saw that I used the pickaxe once to break through a wall. If I use it again at this point, it'll break and I can't get it back, but now that I grabbed this treasure chest, I can use it one more time without breaking, so I'll use it to get through this wall. That was a very good floor. Those first 2 floors can be extremely annoying to get through because of how slow Gil moves and how annoying the pit slimes can be. There's a lot of... The floor layouts are the same every time, but where enemies spawn, where Gil spawns, where the key and door spawn, those are all random every time you play the game. So floor 3 introduces the knights, where you have to cross paths with them multiple times in order to defeat them. The treasure here is the first potion, the healing potion. This basically just acts as an extra life. So I won't be able to hold on to this for the whole game, but for the first few floors it's helpful to grab. You need to kill one of those blue knights in order to unlock it. But which one it is, it's random, so you sometimes have to kill both. Floor 4 introduces the first of the magicians, the mages, and all they do is spawn spells. They fire spells at you. The spell is just... okay, I messed up. There's a treasure on this floor, but you're supposed to get it by passing over the door without having the key, but the treasure is not required, so I'm just going to play through without it. So, the way magicians work is that when Gil is in the center of a square, they will appear somewhere 2 squares away from him at minimum, and they'll fire a spell. You can block the spells with your shield, and then you can kill them after defeating the spell. So on this floor, I'm getting what's known as the White Sword, the first of the sword upgrades. Most of the early, armor upgrades aren't all that important, but they allow me to get better upgrades later on. So to get that, you need to actually block 3 spells while in motion, but I did that by just running into a wall. And as you can see, when Gil puts his sword out, he's actually able to move his shield to the side so that he can block spells from that side instead. You'll be seeing me use a lot of what I like to call spawn syncing, so since the magicians can't spawn unless Gil is in the center of a square, you can wait between squares in order to kind of manipulate them so that they'll all spawn at the same time, which makes them easier to predict. And it's best to do this in a place where you can only be attacked from 1 or 2 directions. Okay, so floor 6, we have a new type of magicians, the sorcerers. Their spells leave behind fire. And that was a very quick treasure to unlock. So, to get that treasure, the candle, which makes ghosts visible for the next few floors, you just need to touch the top of the maze and then go down. Sorcerer's fire elements are pretty annoying because they just block your path. You can put them out prematurely with your sword, but you have to be like as close to it as possible without dying, which is a very risky thing to go for, so I'm just usually not going to go for it. Alright, so floor 7, I'll be able to get rid of my copper pickaxe here, because I'll be able to upgrade to a different pickaxe. So this is the silver pickaxe. When you start a floor, you can use it a random number between 2 and 4 times before it breaks, and then after taking a treasure chest, you can use it an additional 3 to 5 times. But since the number is random, you don't know how many uses you get until you break it. So the safest strategy is to use it once before taking a treasure chest and twice afterwards, and that guarantees it will not break. So floor 8 has the first optimal treasure, or like really optimal treasure, and has the first treasure I'm not going to be grabbing, aside from the chime that I accidentally skipped earlier. It's basically just an energy potion that Gil has an invisible vitality meter, and when it reaches 0, he dies, and that comes into play when fighting knights or dragons or ropers. It's not that big of a deal in stages like this, though, so it's... And the energy potion only lasts for the floor that you collected on, so no need to pick it up. And then floor 9 actually has the first of many harmful treasures, which are the energy drain potions, so you don't want to pick that up. It also has ghosts, so that ghost would not be visible if I didn't pick up the candle, which would make it a bit harder to see. You also have the druids, which are the gray magicians. Their spells actually break down walls, similar to the pickaxe. Right there, I just put out a fire by using the sword, just to show that off. Again, it's very, very precise, so I won't be going for that mostly. Okay. Now we're gonna head off to floor 10. This is the first of the many, many annoying floors in this run. So, this floor has the red slimes, and red slimes can shoot mage spells. But in order for them to shoot a spell, they have to move in a direction. And to get the treasure on this floor, which I absolutely need, I need to block a spell from one of these things. So we might be here a while, because the slimes are not always obligated to move towards the player, and even when they do, they're not always obligated to fire a spell. I got pretty lucky there. It can take way, way, way longer than that. And you'll notice that on every floor you are on a time limit, so that just adds to the pressure. And by the way, black knights just take more health than the blue knights, which means they drain your vitality more as you try to kill them. So the treasure here is the gauntlet. It's completely non-functional for now, but it'll allow me to pick up the hyper gauntlet later on, which I absolutely need. Okay, so floor 11, I've now lost my candle that I got in floor 6, so I'm going to need to get another one. This time I need to touch the bottom of the maze and go, and then move up. And you'll be seeing me use the spawn sinking strategy I talked about here, because there are 5 mages on this level, and they can get very overwhelming. So I have to wait about 2 to 3 seconds between when I spawn mages. Okay, I think I've killed 3 of them already. I'm gonna take a alternate path to get to this, door here. So this candle will let me see ghosts through floor 16, but this is the only floor until then that actually has ghosts. Floor 12 has the armor, which again, I just need to get the hyper armor. There are 2 druids on this floor, and remember, druids spells break down walls. And there I got, oh darn. You need a druid to spawn in the bottom row. So that death actually doesn't matter because I just lost my healing potion, so I basically didn't lose a life. And as you can see, a good strategy for ghosts is to basically get them in a 2-block wide corridor. And then they just move back and forth and they can't hit you. Alright, there we go. So here's the armor. Again, the armor isn't very useful for now, but it will be in order to get some better upgrades later on. Alright. Floor 13 is really bad. So, this floor has the red line shield. Again, I need it for shield upgrades later on. So you need to defeat every enemy on this floor, and you need to pass over the door at some point before you defeat the final enemy. So I've already done the first part. This floor is annoying because of the sorcerers, because their spawns are pretty much random, aside from the restrictions I mentioned earlier, and their fire elements can block you off and make reaching certain areas impossible, and it makes it harder to kill them. But I got pretty lucky in this run. And you also have these blue slimes. They fire druid spells, so their spells will also break down walls. But that was a very, very good floor. It's very rare that the floor goes that smoothly. Okay, so floor 14 has another optional treasure, but this floor introduces perhaps one of the worst enemies in the game, the wizards. So those are the orange magicians, and their spells go through walls. They are among the most deadly enemies in the game, especially in large numbers. So you'll be seeing me use spawn syncing a lot with them. And even just spawn manipulation, even when there's just one of them. I did not take the best path to the key here. Druid, there are 3 types of ghosts, by the way. There are mage ghosts, druid ghosts, and wizard ghosts, and they all fire spells identical to their magician counterparts. So the ghost on this floor was a druid ghost. Its spells break down walls. So floor 15 has the first of the dragons. Pretty much all of the dragons in this run I can ignore. The treasure here is the green necklace, and in order to get it, I actually have to perform a pretty precise maneuver. I need to draw my sword and cross paths with the knight, with that blue knight, like the moment I draw my sword. That is a very, very tight window to hit. Your sword needs to just barely be out after you, before you cross paths with that blue knight. It's extremely hard, and sometimes it can just not work for no good reason. So again, the green necklace will allow me to get other necklaces later on that I absolutely need. Okay, floor 16 has the permanent candle, which will allow me to see ghosts through the rest of the board. To get this one, I need to touch the left and right outer walls of the maze, so there's the left one. I'm gonna wait here so I can spawn sync the mages. And now I'm gonna head all the way over to the right side. There's a knight on this floor known as the Mirror Knight, which matches Gil's top speed, so if he has the jet boots, it will run just as fast. And there it is. That was a risky move. You really don't want to try killing a magician like that in situations where you're not sure if an extra one will spawn. Okay, I'm gonna bait the Mirror Knight out of the way so I can get over to the left side here. Alright. I probably could have gone about that a bit less aggressively, but we made it through alright. Now I can get the treasure. So technically you don't need the candles, but being able to see the ghosts is definitely a very helpful thing. And now we're out of here. Alright, so floor 17, this treasure most likely is going to just complete by itself. This is the first unlock potion, which I need to, as its name suggests, unlock a treasure later on. You need to wait, there are 2 mage ghosts on this level, and they need to teleport a grand total of 5 times. But since they usually start pretty far away from you and they phase through walls on their way to get to you, it usually doesn't take long for them to just fill the requirement by themselves. Although you may have to do some manipulation. Alright, I have to be careful here because there's still a druid left. Okay, floor 18 actually has an actual sword upgrade, the Dragon Slayer. To get this one, I simply need to not touch any of the outer walls of the stage for a few seconds. So while I'm waiting here, I can take out that druid ghost, and I'll wait in between squares. There are 3 sorcerers on this level. Alright, I'm gonna head down here, because that's where the key is. Alright. The spells from sorcerers can also kill you in addition to their fire. So they're magicians that you definitely have to be careful about. Okay, I think I just need to go around. I don't remember if I've used my pickaxe once or twice, but I'm not gonna bother taking any chances with it. Okay, floor 19 has 3 wizards, so one of the first things I'm going to try to do is find a spot where I can use spawn sinking to take care of them, and that's not the greatest spot. So I'm going to head to a corner here, because here I can only really be attacked from 2 directions. So I'm going to try to get one of them, and I'll try to get another one at least. Alright, nice, I got all 3. So this treasure has this floor's treasure is the Book of Light, which I need to make the next few floors visible. So to get it, I need to open the door, but then not enter it right away. And there it is. You just have to wait a few seconds. This is a very annoying floor if the door spawns very far away from you. Because you usually have to go back and forth quite a long distance. So if I didn't pick up that book, these next few floors would just be completely dark. I would not be able to see anything. Okay. Floor 20 has another energy potion, which again, I don't need, so I'm just gonna beeline my way out of here. Okay, the way to unlock that treasure is to open the door without defeating any enemies, but again, I don't need it. Okay, floor 21 has the Will-O-Wisps. So the movement mechanics of Will-O-Wisps are extremely complex. But in short, they tend to just go, I think they usually go counterclockwise throughout the maze, and I think I'm dead. Okay. So this floor's treasure is the green ring, which will allow you to be invincible to these things. But in order to get it, you need to stand still for like 8 to 10 seconds. And until then, you're basically a sitting duck, waiting to be killed by those things. Because you can't defeat the Will-O-Wisps, and they move twice as fast as you do with the jet boots. When the bonus timer goes red, those things will also spawn, but this is where they start appearing regularly on floors. But yeah, the Will-O-Wisps are definitely some of the most terrifying enemies in the entire game, because their movement paths are not always easy to predict. Okay. I did not get favorable spawns here. This floor has another energy drain potion, which I obviously don't want, so I'm going to be skipping that. It's still a pretty tough floor, though, because you have 2 sorcerers, and as well as the Quacks. The Quacks can breathe fire up to 5 squares long if unobstructed, and when it's in the same row or column as Gil, it can also break through walls with its fire breath. So you basically just want to stay away from it at all costs. You never have to kill them in this game, thankfully. Okay, floor 23 has the Bible, which will let me light up floors through the rest of the run. To get it, I need to defeat all 3 of the wizards here without defeating any other enemies. So I'm going to use corner spawn sinking to do that. Right, that's 2 down. And there we go. So now, there's the Bible, and now and this is basically just the permanent version of the Book of Light, so now I'll be able to see every floor for the remainder of the tower. Okay, floor 24 has the first balance, which is needed to prevent a good weapon from instead being an evil weapon. To get the balance, I need to swing my sword in the same position where I started at. First thing I want to do is get rid of these 2 druid, or mage ghosts, sorry. I did not get a very favorable spawn, so okay, I managed to make it work. When you swing your sword, that basically means you do that. You draw your sword and then immediately return it to its sheath. Okay. You'll sometimes see me kind of stand in place there for a little bit while I wait for magicians to spawn. You really have to be careful with these things, because if you try to get even the tiniest bit ahead of them, they will catch you off guard and you will be killed. That almost happened right there, but thankfully I caught it just in time. Okay, floor 25 does not have a treasure at all, so I can just go straight to the end. There's a single wizard on this floor, but a single wizard is not that big of a threat. This floor does have an interesting enemy, a roper. So ropers, they cannot kill you on contact if you don't have your sword drawn. You can pass through them just like I did, but they do zap your vitality to 1 if you do that, which means you can't fight any knights, so you do have to be cautious around them. So floor 26 has the Hyper Gauntlet, which will allow Gil to swing his sword and return it to its sheath twice as fast. There are actually 2 ways to get this treasure. You need to collect the key and then you can either collect the key and then kill a druid, or defeat 1 to 3 druids and then collect the key. Obviously, I'm doing the second of the two because it's a bit safer. Because 1 druid is less annoying to deal with than 3. The key is not in a very good spot. I'm gonna try to... Okay, I'm just gonna break down the wall. Alright, so now I have to get back to the treasure without dying. Alright, I do not like where the Quox is. Okay. That was a very close call. Should be fine, though. So now, as you can see, I'm able to use my sword a lot more quickly than before. That'll be very helpful. And it's mandatory to beat the game. You need all of the hyper upgrades in order to actually defeat Druaga. Okay, floor 27 has the red necklace. To get that, you just need to pass through a blue will-o-wisp, although it usually doesn't work for the first few times. The red necklace will actually allow me to pass through the fires that sorcerers put out. So, from this point on, the sorcerers are going to be mostly a non-issue. Thankfully. And then floor 28 has the gate detection book. So similarly to the Bible and the Book of Light, if I don't pick up this treasure, then the gates will be invisible. So they'll be a lot harder to find. To get this treasure, you need to stand on top of the door while your sword is drawn. So you just do it like that, and there it is. This floor introduces the dark green slimes, which are the fastest slimes, and they shoot wizard spells, so they're the most terrifying. Okay, now we're on to floor 29, where we can get the gold pickaxe, which can be used up to 255 times per floor. And since no floor has that many walls, it basically means you have unlimited uses. So I'm gonna wait for these 2 wizard ghosts to come to me so they don't get in my way later. And then you basically just need to move the control stick in a clockwise circle 3 times. And I'm playing on a keyboard, so that was a little bit more awkward. Okay, so if I didn't pick up the gate detection book, that door would have been invisible, and I wouldn't have been able to find it as easily. There's actually a fake door on that floor, in addition to the real one. Floor 30 has another unlock potion. There are 2 different points in this map that are special. You need to both cross across that point and a point and a... it's hard to explain. You need to basically move across that point and a point diagonal to it of 3 times total in order to unlock it. It's very complicated, but you saw how I did it. Okay, and then floor 31 has the pearl, which I can't get without the previous unlock potion. To get it, you press the one-player start button. This is the only treasure where every re-release of it actually has a different unlock requirement. And by that I mean all the Namco Museum compilations. Alright, here I have 4 wizards and I didn't get a very favorable spawn, so I'm gonna... Okay, I'm able to get to a corner. There's a dark blue slime in my alignment though, so... So what the pearl does, I haven't explained that yet. It freezes any dragon when you're within 3 tiles of it. So this makes dragons, again, a non-issue for the remainder of the game. The pearl is optional in this game, but again, it's very nice to have, and it doesn't take much effort to unlock. Floor 32 has another balance, which I need to prevent the hyper shield on the next floor from becoming the evil shield. To get it, you just swing your sword twice in quick succession like that. So I haven't mentioned this yet, but the evil versions of the hyper items, basically, for example, the evil gauntlet instead of the hyper gauntlet prevents Gil from swinging his sword at all. And the hyper shield, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't really have any super negative effects, but you need, or the evil shield doesn't have any super negative effects, but you need the hyper shield to beat the game. And to get the hyper shield, not only do you need that balance, you need to cross paths with the silver dragon here. Very easy to do if you have the pearl. So yeah, once I get close to the dragon, since I have the pearl, it just doesn't move, and I need the key. very hard to play this game while commentating because it goes by so quickly and there's so much to talk about. As you can see, again, I have the gold pickaxe now, so I'm able to break down as many walls as I want. I still can't use it on the outer walls, though, or else it'll break. So I do have to be mindful of that. So floor 34 has the key detection book. It's the gate detection book before the key. There's a wizard on this floor I'm going to take care of first, and I basically just need to kill one of the two mirror knights. Again, which one it is random, so I may have to kill both. I don't think it was that one, so I gotta find the other one. Again, technically the key detection book is not required to be, it's not absolutely mandatory to beat the game, but, like, it's basically a requirement. Without a guide, you don't figure all of this out. Floor 35 has another energy drain potion, which I obviously don't want, so I'm just gonna get in and get out. Very easy floor. Floor 36 has another balance, which I need for the hyper armor. This time I need to use the red necklace that I got earlier to pass through the fire element of a sorcerer. So this balance is impossible to obtain on the Namco Museum Virtual Arcade version of the game, because for some reason the red necklace doesn't work. So in order to actually beat the game on the Xbox 360, you need to use the continue feature to reacquire the same balance twice, because the balances aren't mutually exclusive. So it's complicated to explain how that works, but I have a couple videos explaining it. Here we have the hyper armor, so I need to kill those two druid ghosts and then cross paths with a red roper. Like that. Now remember, red ropers can't kill me as long as I don't have my sword drawn, but once I do that, I have one health now, so I can't fight any knights, and if I try to attack a roper with my sword, I will die. Okay. So floor 38 has a pretty difficult treasure to get. It's the first of the 3 crystal rods, in this case the green one. So I need to block a spell from a wizard while my sword is drawn. So I'm going to try to get rid of 2 of them first. So I only have to deal with 1. Again, magician spawns are random, so it may take a while to get one in the right spot. Alright, there we go. There we go. And so, the crystal rods don't really do anything right away, but again, these are also items that I need in order to actually fight Druaga on the second to last floor. So on the next floor, I'm actually going to be sacrificing the green ring for the red ring, which will allow me to pass through the red will-o-wisps, which are basically the same as the blue ones, except they usually go clockwise through the maze. And that one is just up, up, down, 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 which I just did right at the start of the floor. So now I'm immune to the red will-o-wisps, but I'm back to being vulnerable to the blue ones. Which will come into play on a couple of floors. Okay. Floor 40 has the Potion of Death, which makes the time count down 6 times as fast. Obviously, you don't want that. I will be skipping it. That was a very easy floor. And then floor 41 has the Healing Potion, which reverses the effects of the Potion of Death, and obviously I don't need that. Which is nice, but there are 4 wizards on this level. So I'm gonna try to get to a place where I can use spawn sinking. This corner should work. Alright, I don't know how many that was, but it was probably like 2. That should be all of them. Now, the next floor is, in my opinion, the hardest floor in the game, because it has both red and blue will-o-wisps. as well as 2 wizard ghosts that you basically need to wait for. But the will-o-wisps can spawn anywhere in the maze, and they are terrifying, and I'm already dead. Yeah, as I said, this floor sucks. Thankfully, the treasure here is just a trophy, and it's completely optional, so I can skip it. I have to actually find the key, and I have no idea. Okay. So all the blue will-o-wisps are now really far away from me, so I should be able to get through here. Okay. So that was the first, like, actually costly death of the run. That's actually surprising I made it that far. Right, floor 43 has another energy drain potion, but so I don't need it, and this is a pretty easy floor because the only enemies are slimes. Okay, the next 2 floors will either go really smoothly or really poorly, because it's basically all luck whether I can get through here properly or not. Floor 44 has another balance, this time for the Excalibur, and there's 1 of each magician type on this floor, and I need to kill them in a very specific order. Okay, I almost had that. I need to kill the druid first. And it's definitely the hardest one. I got really lucky there, wow. Now I need to kill the mage, the purple one. Alright, I had 2 magicians spawn on top of each other, which means I couldn't have killed them then. Like I said, I could be here for a while. Did I already kill it? Did I kill it and I not realize it? Weird. Huh. So I'm supposed to go druid, mage, sorcerer, wizard, but I guess the wizard just died somehow. Or the mage just died somehow. So, I have to do that again. Like I said, this floor is very annoying. There's also those 2 red knights, which have the most health out of any knight. They're gonna be coming for me really soon. Actually, no, they're idiots, so I think they're just gonna go the other way. Yep. So yeah, it's kind of, using spawn syncing here is kind of one of those darned if you do, darned if you don't things where it's helpful, but it also makes it less likely that the light magician will spawn right in front of you. Alright, I'm just gonna kind of be all of it at this point because I've wasted a lot of time. Okay, there's 1. That's 2. I got 2 of them in the right order now. Alright, that's 3. And there we go. So now the timer is red, and so those will-o-wisps spawn when the timer goes red. But I have the treasure now, so I can just get out. Floor 45 has 2 treasures that I need to collect in a very specific order. So if I try to get the Excalibur right away, I'll instead get the Death Potion. So I need to actually first get an antidote to break the curse on it. And to get the antidote, I need to kill 5 of the knights in a very specific order. Starting with the Lizard Man, which actually does double damage because it uses left-handed attacks. So the Lizard Man is one of the easiest knights to die to because it does more damage than all the other ones. Now I need to find the Hyper Knight. That's the orange one. The Mirror Knight needs to get the frick away from me. Okay. Hyper Knights restore a good chunk of vitality. Okay, then I need to get the Mirror Knight, and then the Black Knight, and finally the Blue Knight. And then Antidote, Excalibur. So the Excalibur is the strongest sword in the game, and I need this, again, in order to finish the game. That was pretty well. It's very easy for 2 knights to spawn on top of each other, and they're very, very, very hard to break apart. So, that's happened. I've had a number of 1cc attempts die to that. So floor 46 has another optional treasure, but I'm gonna try to unlock it just to show it off. It is the blue necklace, which makes you immune to a dragon's fire. To get it, you need to touch an outer wall, then walk through all 4 corners of the maze, and then you need to return to the outer wall that you first touched. So I'm gonna try to be careful here because I have no idea where the box is. Or that's the black dragon, my bad. There we go. And now dragons are actually harmless, because I don't ever have to go near them. Okay, next floor is another one that has both blue and red will-o-wisps, but they're not as deadly this time, and I don't need to collect the treasure on this floor. So if I had the chime, I'd have been able to deduce right away where the key is, because the chime basically makes a noise whenever you face in the direction of a key after you spawn in the level. But since I messed up getting it earlier, I don't have it, so I went the wrong way when trying to find the key. But it's not a problem. Okay, floor 48 has the red crystal rod, and I need to pass through all 4 corners of the maze again, but this time I have to do it because it's another crystal rod. There's a druid ghost somewhere. There it is. There's a lot of dark green slimes in this level, doesn't necessarily make the level difficult, but it is very frightening. I'm gonna ignore that key for now because the door might spawn in one of the corners. Okay, it didn't, but never be too careful. I'm gonna go out of my way here to get rid of some of these slimes. Remember that slimes shoot a spell in the direction they just moved in, so... and the dark green slimes shoot spells that go through walls. Which means I really have to watch out for them. And they can fire spells from off-screen, too. Now I have the second of the 3 crystal rods. Floor 49 has a treasure that requires an unlock potion that I didn't get, because this treasure is harmful. So, I can skip this one too. There are 3 wizards here, though. And I do not like the positions of all these lizard men. Alright, got lucky there. I had all 3 of them spawn right in front of me. Floor 50 has another energy potion that, once again, I do not need. So, I'm just gonna skip it. This floor has 2 wizards. So I'll just take, since I spawned near a corner, I'll just get rid of both of them right away. Alright. We have one more balance to get on the next floor. This is a super easy treasure to get. Just press and hold any one direction for several seconds. I can literally do that right here. In fact, actually, this might have been a bad place to do it. Yeah, it was. I want to find a corridor where that's 2 blocks long so that sorcerers can't spawn near me. Remember, even though I'm immune to their fires, the spells can still kill me. So that's why I had to move there. So this bounce was needed to prevent the hyper armor on the next floor from becoming the evil armor. The hyper armor raises Gil's defense, so he takes less damage when fighting certain enemies, and it also allows him to absorb 1 spell attack per floor. To get it, I need to break 4 walls, which is really only feasible if you have the gold pickaxe. And there's the 4 walls. Alright. So earlier, I got the Hyper Helmet, which doubles Gil's starting vitality on every floor. And now I have the hyper helmet, which means, or I have the hyper armor, which means I'll lose less vitality when I cross paths with enemies. This floor has an unlock potion that I really want to grab. You cross from here to here. It can be kind of hard to know where that point in the maze is, but it's basically like right near the middle of it. It's one of those cross from point A to point B type things. Alright, next floor basically just comes down to luck. Yeah, with the evil armor, you can't beat the game. Okay, that's not the greatest spawn, but I can maybe work with it. So here I can get the blue ring, which will make me immune to both blue and red will-o-wisps. There's a certain part in the maze that I needed to go to and face it down in order to unlock it. So now I can safely pass through both of them. This is one of the scariest floors because it's super late into the run and you can spawn basically anywhere, and the will-o-wisps can spawn basically anywhere. And if you spawn far away from where you need to, it's often super difficult to get the treasure and survive. Okay, floor 55 doesn't have a treasure, but it has 5 wizards, so you know what the drill is. Thankfully, since I have the hyper armor now, I can absorb 1 spell attack. Doing so, however, does reduce your vitality to 1. So, if that does happen, I need to be careful of it. Okay, I do not like this lizard man. So I have to abandon my post there. Thankfully, there's only 3 wizards left. You really don't want to kill enemies unless you have to, or unless they're magicians. Okay. So floor 56 is interesting. Remember that unlock potion I got on floor 53? It can be used on either 54 or 56. But on this floor, the treasure is an empty box, so you want to use it on floor 54 instead. This floor is also pretty easy. There's only 1 wizard, and you're immune to all the will-o-wisps by now. Alright, floor 57 has the ruby mace, which I do actually need in order to kill the quacks on floor 59. So first I need to pass over the door, because there's a stone you might have seen there. That is the succubus, who now is an evil lookalike of Ishtar. You need to kill her. And then you also need to kill the lizard man. And that spawns the treasure. So this is another treasure that's mandatory to beat the game. Because defeating the quacks on floor 59 is one of the requirements. It allows me to defeat it in 1 hit with my sword, though. Alright, here's the 3rd to last floor. Here I need to get the blue crystal rod. Remember, I need all 3 crystal rods in order to defeat Druaga. So you pass through point A there. This middle column is where you want to go. And then points B and C are roughly near the top in the middle. And then there's that treasure. So that's every treasure that I need. I hope I didn't miss any. And we're heading on to the penultimate floor. This is where we have to fight Druaga. If you try to leave the floor before you defeat Druaga, you get zapped to an earlier floor and it becomes impossible to beat the game. So first things first, there are 2 wizards and hyper knights here that I want to try to get rid of. So there's a fast hyper knight. That's the first thing I need to do, is to defeat that. Alright, while I'm waiting, it's in a not so good spot right now, so while I'm waiting for it, I'll take care of these 2 hyper knights to get some extra vitality. Every time you defeat a knight, you get a little bit of vitality back, and hyper knights get back a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna take out the hyper knight in this corner. And now 4 surplus wizards are gonna spawn. That was a very unfortunate timing for them to spawn. One of those 4 wizards is real and can actually be killed, and that's the one you need to kill. Alright, let's try that again. Remember, I can't absorb a spell with the hyper armor during this stage at all, or it becomes impossible. And if I die now and get a game over, this game does have a continue feature, so don't worry about that. Okay, lure you to a corner. This is slightly better, because now I'm, like, next to the corner. So this phase might take a little while, because again, it's magician spawns are random, and which one it is also random. I'm getting very bad luck here. There we go. So now there's a Quox that's gonna spawn, and I need to defeat it using the Ruby Mace I got earlier. Should be somewhere around here. And now here's Druaga. You need all Hyper upgrades and all 3 Crystal Rods in order to fight him. If you don't have all of that, you will die on contact with him every time. There we go. Again, if you leave the floor before you defeat him, you get zapped to an earlier floor and lose too many items to be able to beat the game. And here's the final floor. We're at the very top of the tower. Break a wall here, you get zapped to a lower floor. You kill Ishtar, you get zapped to a lower floor. Run out of time, you get zapped to a lower floor. First, you collect Ishtar, move there to set the green crystal rod. Then you gotta move up here, and you set the red crystal rod here. You gotta move to those tiles and point down in order to set the crystal rods. Then you go here, you collect Kai, the maiden. And then head over here to set the blue crystal rod, point down, and game beaten. Don't attack Kai, by the way, that also will get you zapped to a lower floor. That was a 1cc. That is very hard to pull off in this game. A lot of random elements to it, and a lot of things that can go horribly wrong. But there you go. Hopefully I did a decent job of explaining how you're supposed to get through this game, because it's very cryptic. There are plenty of walkthroughs that exist on the internet if this wasn't great enough, but yeah, there you go. So yeah, you definitely check this game out. It's definitely a tough game to get the hang of, but once you kind of figure out all the secrets and you get used to the mechanics, it actually can be very fun to play through, if not a bit frustrating at times. It's on many different Namco museums. Some compilations, including arcade archives, allow you to have like in-game guides that let you know how to unlock each treasure. So yeah, that's it. That's it for me this marathon. Thanks for watching.